And then Beth.
Hi, I'm Bethany Hodnett. I support the faculty with international students.
Okay, so to briefly go through the program, so we're going to pick up on a few key things. So it's to meet the staff. So this is everyone that you see here. We go through the core structure, some extracurricular activities, but also go through how well the program performs. And then I have a crystal ball for kind of what our alumni do after they complete the degree. So the marketing team is currently made up of 8 academics. We all have our different specialisms that allows us to kind of teach and specialize in one area within marketing. So my personal specialism is in research methods. John is within branding and communications. Duleika and Africa are specializing in consumer behavior and consumer psychology. And the majority of the bottom row, so Hannah, Christopher, Andrew, and Shakar, they all specialize in digital marketing. So we know how prominent this area is. So we have a heavier stacking of staff with expertise with digital marketing skills. So the course itself is either 3 years or 4 years with the foundation year. The foundation year is made up of the 4 modules that you see there. So the global business, introduction to business research project, and the world of economics and finance. The foundation year is for those that don't quite meet the UCAS tariff points for the standard first year entry. And it not only teaches you, give you a foundation for business, but it also teaches you key academic skills. So the 2 most prominent modules in there are the Introduction to Business Research module and the Business Research Project. So you're learning academic writing, critical thinking, and then research methods. Now, all of those skills are fundamental before moving into the first year. Our first year is made up of 4 modules. All of the purple boxes and the purple fonts signify that these modules are sat with the entire school. So you get the benefit of not only sitting the course with your course, but you also have opportunities to network and make friends with other people in the school. Now, the first year is really summarized as the knowledge year. So we don't assume you have any previous background in business. So this allows you to build that foundation of business knowledge. So the 2 all-school modules, the business environment and business culture, challenge you to examine the external forces that influence a business, and business culture looks at the internal aspects of an organization. Now, if you have done business before, these take what you've learned at college one step further. So not only do we impart the knowledge, we will also start testing your application of this theory. So not only, for example, do you know what political forces are, but you understand how those influence how an organization runs. Unique to the marketing degree are marketing in action and buyer behavior. So these are only found on the marketing degree. The marketing in action is the broad brush introductory to all marketing concepts, and it lays the foundation for the second year. And buyer behavior is essentially consumer psychology. It underpins all marketing activities. So it underpins advertising because we need to know how they make decisions and how we communicate with them effectively, but also fundamentally, when we're looking at market research and consumer insights, we always strive to understand their attitudes, motivations, and behavior. So as at this point, I'll ask Ella to kind of tell you what she did in her first year.
Yeah, so the first year was a lot of interactive sessions. We mainly work with live clients. So like our assignments will be based on a client. So for example, in our marketing in action module, we worked alongside this company called Red Paw, and it was like a pet food company. And we basically got to look at new product ideas for them. And it was quite nice because then we watched them kind of implement them ideas. And then by behavior, we kind of looked at an advert and looked at consumer behavior theory, and we kind of applied it. So you get to choose your own topic, and you get to kind of experiment with different topics in marketing. So yeah, it's fashion mainly.
Thank you. So then moving into the second year, this is what we would call the tactical elements of marketing. So we focus on each component of marketing in its own space. So you look at advertising, you look at branding, you look at market research, new product development, and there's also the three electives, which I'll refer to later. So the focus of this year is understanding how these individual components operate on their own, but also operate tactically. So what the plans are for the next 2 to 3 years, for example. We also build on what you've learned in the first year by developing those application skills in more depth into your second year. So really focusing not only imparting the necessary knowledge about marketing communications and branding, but how you apply those in a real case scenario. Now, for example, within the consumer insights, innovation and marketing planning, Ella recently completed her presentation where we worked with a live client, which is DC UK, which is the miniature duck company that you see in the garden centers. So not only did we go through what makes good research, what makes appropriate planning for a new product, the students had to go out, collect the research, and then present a new idea to the client as well. So there's lots of soft skills which are being developed in this year, as well as developing relevant marketing knowledge. There's also the challenge module. So a key ethos of the school is that we build business people who are responsible. So not only do they have good, solid foundations in terms of business education, they're also looking to better the planet and society as well. So Ella has just completed her second year. So if you wanted to go through what you did in the year.
Yeah, so I'll touch on what you said about DCUK. So I created a children's book and you got to work as a team doing this. So it was quite fun because you kind of got to see your strengths and weaknesses and we kind of tailored it to each other, as some of us were better at, like, we kind of do like a data set, which is quite good because I'd never done this before. So it's good to kind of do that data analysis. And then when we actually enter the world of marketing, it's great to have that foundation. And then the challenge module was quite an interesting one because we had to create like an elevator pitch about why a company should instill sustainability. And then the advertising module was quite interesting as well because we got to choose a campaign. There was like a campaign given to us and we had to basically create different creatives, and you got to be really visual. You got to create like social media content and video content and different stuff like that. So yeah, it was very interactive this year mainly.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a really hands-on course. So we're not only teaching you how to do them, there's an element where you have to then apply what you have learnt, but also throughout the program, you get exposed and opportunities to work with multiple companies, not only within the program. So Ella worked with Red Bull in the first year, DC UK in the second year, but there are also a host of other employability opportunities. So you can do internships, which I'll get Ella to speak about later. There's the placement, which I'll get Ella to speak about later. And then there's more opportunities to work with clients in the final year as well. So it's a really hands-on, practical program. So there's the placement year that divides the second and final year. This is optional, so I'll touch on that in a second. In the final year, you will have your dissertation, which will run across the whole year, and that can be on any topic of your within marketing. You will get a short briefing session in your second year so that you can prepare over the summer, thinking of new ideas or ideas you might want to use for your dissertation. And then in your final year, it's the strategic elements of marketing. So now that we've understood how each function within marketing operates individually, is now looking at how we manage all of these functions as a single marketing function within the organization. We also acknowledge the fact that not everybody will go into a standard graduate work scheme. Some people may move into academia. So the contemporary issues in marketing module helps build those academic skills. So if you want to do a master's, if you want to do a PhD, the foundations are made there. But at the same time, there's always this application. So despite going through and understanding the key theories, building those academic skills, you'll have a set of marketing topics to examine in that module, and we bring in guest speakers to kind of say how they are using those theories in practice. You then have the strategic marketing module, which looks at how marketing functions within an organization. And again, you work with a live client as part of that. You'll have your elective and then the final choice of public relations in the digital era or experiential practice. Now, in the second and final year, you do have the choice of doing 2 out of 3 electives. Now, all of these match the ethos of the program. They are all live client based. So regardless of which elective you choose, you don't miss out from that opportunity. The marketing degree has formed, there are 2 pathways. So the first of these is the BSc Hons Marketing, and the second is the BSc Hons Marketing, Digital and Social Media. Now, to move on to the digital and social media pathway, you need to complete the digital marketing and the social media marketing in practice module. If you complete those in either your second or final year, you'll have the pathway added on. If you complete one of those alongside international marketing, you'll graduate with BSc Hons Marketing. Now, the digital marketing course is also hands-on, but in a slightly different way. So there's not necessarily a live client, but you take on the role as if you were starting a new business. So Ella, do you want to say what you did this year in digital marketing?
Yeah, so we basically created our own t-shirt and we basically made an online store for it. And you would basically, is for the launch of this product. So we'd create like social media posts, and different creatives kind of to showcase that, whether that be a giveaway, whether that be an ad. So yeah, it was quite interactive overall.
Yeah. So again, a very hands-on module. So apologies for the animations. These are just showcasing some of the placements that our students have secured. And in fact, this year, another student from our second year secured a placement with TUI. The third year placement is optional, but highly recommended. We have a fantastic student hub of student services where there is a really good careers service. They offer bespoke meetings to discuss your CV, covering letters, applying for jobs. But also we have our range of online materials as well, in particular the CV 360 and the Interview 360 system. So the CV 360 system allows you to update your CV, get feedback. You can then upload your adjusted CV into Interview 360 and it implements AI to interview you as if you were applying for a job. So it's a good way to get feedback in a safe environment before having to do it in practice. So I'll get Ella to talk about kind of looking for a placement as she has successfully secured a placement for next year. So can you tell us a bit more about the placement kind of journey and getting a placement?
Yeah, I think it's quite competitive. So you have to kind of prepare yourself beforehand if you can get internships and different stuff like that. But overall, it depends kind of what business you go for. If you go for smaller businesses, it will only really be an interview. Whereas if you go for bigger ones, it will be, so my process was kind of an interview, like kind of online, and then it was an assessment center. And this was kind of, it sounds a lot scarier than it is. It was kind of more, we create like an email campaign, and you'd look at like prioritization tasks, and it was kind of like different stuff, but it wasn't like out of your comfort zone. It was quite fun actually, which is surprising. But yeah, and then it was kind of after that, then they tell you if you've secured your role, or if you've been unsuccessful. But yeah, I went to another one beforehand, so it was kind of, it was interesting to go to different ones to see how different companies did it. But yeah, in the end, I secured one with Panasonic. So I'm basically a European marketing assistant. So you get to travel on the job as well, which will be quite cool. But yeah, I start that in July.
Thank you. So this is a point we keep reiterating, but live client briefs do exist throughout the entire degree. So it offers you pragmatic application of the theories that we go through in the lectures. So this is just an example of some of the previous clients that we've worked with. So if we're looking at the slide, starting on the left, we have the South Devon Tennis Centre. They were given a brief by the committee there who works within the centre. They then got an opportunity to speak to the members doing part of their initial research. And of course, as they're at the South Devon Tennis Centre, they all got to play some tennis. The centre they completed a research project with Dartmoor Zoo. So they were getting a brief from the operations director there at the time. And then, of course, they went to go see the animals. And then finally, we have a project there with Birch Chris, which is located here in Plymouth. So while some of the students were getting the briefing from the marketing manager, the others were getting a tour and they were seeing how the crisps were made. The degree is 1 degree, 4 qualifications. So on top of getting the marketing degree, there are 3 additions that you can achieve as well. One of them is a byproduct of getting the degree itself. So if you graduate with 50% or more, which is a 2-2, you automatically go on to the Chartered Institute of Marketing's Graduate Gateway. And what this means is that when you look at continued professional development later on in your career, to get their level 4 and level 6, you are exempted from some of their modules, which makes it easier and cheaper to achieve those professional qualifications. The IDM and the MRS are built into the degree in that we do all of the teaching for these 2 certificates while you are here. And to get the certificate, you just complete an exam for the IDM and a test for the MRS. So this means that by the time you get to around your placement or before you move into your final year, you will have these industry recognized qualifications as well. So this sets you up for applying for placements, but also applying for graduate roles when you complete. Now, one of the things that we are able to do is, or why we have such close relationships with these accrediting bodies, is because there are people within our academic staff which sit in senior roles within all 3 of these accrediting bodies. So to give you an example, I'm the senior examiner for the MRS. So I write and produce learning materials for market researchers that are currently in practice. So I assess what makes good practice within marketing. That's then reflected in my teaching with our second years. So they're getting the same knowledge base as a professional would that is doing professional certificates outside of the university. The MRS is also offers a unique simulation. So it's an opportunity to play a game as part of the module where you learn some of the key concepts which are taught in the module as well. Moving on to some extracurricular activities. So there's over 100 different societies and a number of different sports clubs. So the standard sports club that you would expect to see are there. So football, rugby, tennis, hockey, there's quite a lot of those. And we have a very diverse range of societies. So we have the ones which are there. So there's some more unique ones as well, such as the Acapella Society, Pokemon Go Society. So there's a lot of things to cater for a lot of people. Ella, did you want to say about the sports club societies that you've considered?
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm currently part of dance, so that's quite fun. We do that 2 times a week. So I do hip hop and jazz, and we do a lot of like socials every Wednesday. So it's a nice way to meet new people. And there's a lot of like different events as well. So we get like a Christmas meal, and I'm about to go to a summer meal next week. So yeah, it's quite nice to just meet people, and yeah.
Thank you. There are also, I guess, extracurricular activities that align closer to what you're doing in your degree. So there's a whole host of part-time jobs, and there are ambassador roles, much like what Ella's doing now. So there's lots of opportunities for part-time jobs. We also have a part-time jobs fair whereby we bring employers onto campus. We also have a number of internships which are run by the school and by the university in general. And we also have our flux and we also have the flux and the employability days. So the flux is a business challenge and the employability days are dedicated sessions for marketing professionals to come in to speak to our students. So does the university compete in bucks? Yes, it does. Ella, do you want to mention some of the internships that you've done?
Yeah, so I did one recently, and that was through the business school, and it was a paid one, so that was good. But it was a digital content creator, and I basically would post on social media. I would look at different ways to kind of gain awareness for the company, whether that be like advertising or posters, different stuff like that. I also did an internship in my first year, and that was as a market research assistant. And that was for a company called Popcorn Kitchen. But that was really interesting to kind of, because she was looking at a new product, so I got to like research that new market. And then I did another one as a digital marketing intern, and this was basically at a local business, and I also looked at different like advertising and social media stuff like that. Yeah.
Thank you. I mean, one of the key questions we get asked now is what are the benefits of doing a degree over doing a standard apprenticeship? Now, with an apprenticeship, you will work with one company during your time with the apprenticeship. But if you follow a journey like Ella's, she's worked with multiple companies as part of the degree. She's worked with multiple companies by completing the internship. So it really gives her diverse exposure to a range of different companies, which helps you to determine in the future what area within marketing or business that you really want to go into. So there's lots of scope and hands-on learning that you can get in the university setting as well. And we bring the employers in to kind of tell you what it's like to be a marketer, to give you insights. Quite a lot of these are our alumni as well, so they can tell you or illuminate the path from getting your degree to the graduate positions they ultimately get. So what we have here in the animations are examples of previous people completing in Flux. What's coming across the top now is we understand that most or quite a lot of people or students really find it difficult to network with people. So we put in a networking workshop to help develop those skills. And an exciting piece of news for the business school is that we have a new business school which is currently being created on campus. So the Fitzroy building will be located on Central Campus. It will be home to the Cube, which is our entrepreneurship and freelancer service. It will be home to the Bloomberg Suites, the Maritime Suite, and the Language Lab. To give you an idea of what the inside of the building will look like, I'll just play a video with the architectural fly-through. So the main benefit of the new building is that it will be on main campus. So it's right next to the student union. It's centrally based where all the food options are, where all the cafes and restaurants are. So it's being located on central campus. So the penultimate thing is a personal choice. So why we think the marketing degree is a good choice, and it's because we focus on you. So during my tenure as program leader, I took over at the end of 2017, where student satisfaction sat at 73%. So I put in a number of interventions in 2018 with the goal of increasing student satisfaction, where the emphasis was placing the focus on the students. Now, I implemented this with the feed forward approach, which is I will ask all students at the beginning of the year what issues or problems they might face or can encounter or foresee in that year. So we put in provisions so that you can benefit from your feedback during that year. So a lot of courses will tend to collect feedback at the end of the year, and then that will improve the program or the degree for the subsequent years. So it's your degree, you're studying that year. So it was very much, if you can anticipate anything that we can help you with, providing additional academic support, drop-ins, help with time management, we can provide these things to you so that they benefit you. So this approach is the approach I've been using ever since being program lead. So from 2017, we increased the student satisfaction by 10% to 83, 2019 up to 94. COVID cost me a percentage point in 2020. In 2021, that was the first year of COVID scores. Now, despite scoring 82.4, which was lower than 2020, our overall satisfaction was still 11 percentage points higher than the sector. And in particular, we were able to make our students feel that they were being adequately academically supported despite all the issues surrounding COVID and online teaching. In 2020, our satisfaction increased back up to 91%, but I think the most telling narrative is in 2023, we received a 90% positivity score. Up until 2023, student satisfaction was determined by how people answered that very last question, which is how satisfied are you with the course? The positivity rating is actually the average of every metric that is in the NSS. So this is to demonstrate that it's not people just saying that they are satisfied. If you look at everything from organization management, learning opportunities, teaching, all of it was rated high to maintain 90% across all of those areas. But also another key thing is that our graduate outcomes, so the number of people, percentage of people that secure jobs, in 2023 was 95%. So the majority of people, those people who graduated in our degree within 15 months were either in postgraduate studies or they had a professional career role. Now, this has had knock-on effects for the reputation of the program as well. So in 2023, the Plymouth was 9th in the Guardian table for marketing and public relations. In 2024, we rose to 2nd in the table. So there are lots of benefits to coming to the degree. So not only are our students happy, they do find professional roles, but now it's also a highly reputable degree in the UK as well. But also, if we look at other ways of measuring or external measures of the quality of our course, this is the complete university guide. So for transparency, the University of Plymouth is ranked 12 overall when you're looking at the overall score. But when you look at student satisfaction, is how happy our students are, and the graduate prospects in both of these metrics, our degree at the University of Plymouth ranks 1st in both of these. Now, why this is important is because it tells you that if you were to complete this degree, you're going to feel supported, you're going to be happy while you're on the course, but also once you have completed the degree, there's a good or high chance that you are going to secure employment. So numbers only say numbers only say so much. We also have this testimony by a final year student. So just having a quick look at your question. Yes. So there are opportunities to be creative on the course. So when you do the Ella, do you want to go through and explain what you did, because it refers specifically to your book?
Yeah.
Because your book
Yeah,
has a really nice front cover.
yeah, so in terms of the children's book, we got someone to create ours, but you could create your own. I just personally am no artist myself, so I was not going to attempt it. But yeah, we basically got someone to do it for us, but it was quite visual. It was just like we created a mock-up as well. And this was basically a book, and we created a bookmark as well alongside it. So you can be as creative as you kind of want to be. You can also, in the first year, we did an infographic, and this was really creative. It's basically a visual way of showing information. So you can do like different graphs, different colors. So I did like green consumerism. So I kind of had quite a green, eco-friendly background. So yes, I would say overall it's very creative. And yeah, it was guided by a brief from the live client. So yeah, basically the brief from the live client was just that they wanted to enter a new market. And because they only really targeted at 25 to 55-year-olds, so we basically decided a children's book to enter that demographic. But yeah, so you can be really creative with the course overall. I would say the course is mostly creative, like compared to, because I was going to do business, so it was kind of, that's what swayed me towards marketing, and it's definitely followed what I was expecting.
Yeah. So for each one of the modules where we have a client, we will invite them in or take the cohort up to the client, depending on the type of business it is. They will provide a comprehensive brief. So they'll kind of give you some background about the company, but also tell you what is required. And also when we look at creativity, we're not just looking at creativity kind of in the artistic sense. We also look to build your problem solving skills. So your creative ways of approaching a problem as well. Our course is, well, I think our course is arguably slightly more advanced than some of the others in the school and the university, in that we are very pro use of AI. AI within the sector is growing. So a number of companies and people are becoming more and more proficient and upskilling in how they can adopt AI as part of their business operations and how they function as a marketing team. So the second year students, as part of their new product pitch, were permitted to use AI to help them do the creative aspects. Now, what we assessed was the thinking behind their creatives. So if they designed a new product, they had to kind of draw it out by hand first with the notes about why, for example, the book might have this font, feature this character, be this size, but ultimately they could have used an AI tool to help them actually draw the front cover, come up with a few examples of the pages. So we know this is a key skill that all people entering into the market, all people entering into the job space when they graduate are going to need. So we teach it while you're on the course as well. So this is the crystal ball. So to give you an idea of what our, apologies for that. To give you an idea of what our graduates go on to do. So this is the crystal ball moving from when they finish the degree up to about 10 years from leaving the degree. So we have a lot of assistants and coordinator roles, but also Cara and Flora, they both worked at Intel and Disney as part of their placements. So because they did fairly well, they had an agreement with both of these companies that they could return after they completed their degree. Moving 2 to 5 years later, we have a lot more of our alumni taking on managerial roles, but also in a diverse range of sectors. But we also have really good engagement with our alumni as well. So Adam, who worked for Rolls-Royce and now currently works with BMW, he regularly comes back and speaks to our students. And then finally, 5 to 10 years time, we have people working in a multitude of industries, looking at non-profit, starting our own businesses, which is the Fits Me women's brand. But we also have our alumni around the world as well. So Adam works for Universal Sony Pictures in Australia. But we also have alumni that have real world effects. So Nicola and Victoria were both well, they both sat the marketing degree in the same year. They were good friends. When they completed the degree, Victoria went on to work for EMEA. Nicola returned to Disney, having completed a placement with Disney. And both of them actually worked together when they introduced the star component onto Disney Plus. So that's all I had for the talk. So just any questions that you might have now. So is there a lot of help for students when searching for a placement within the industry? So I'll give my response first. So as part of doing your second year, you do have a PBS 500 CPD module, which sits alongside that, which is designed to help you find placements, and they bring in people who are on placements to kind of give you their hints and tips. Ella?
Yeah, so we have a placement team at the university and you can book like one-to-one sessions with them. So I had quite a few of them beforehand, and you can go see them if you've seen a job that you like. They'll help you with your CV to kind of like tailor it, or like a cover letter, they'll help you tailor it to that job application. So yeah, I'd say overall very helpful. Also, like for example, Ben, he'll send us like a big list of like placements that have been uploaded. He sent us a spreadsheet of like 150 on it. So yeah, but I would say like overall, even like online's really easy. So I went on like sites like Rate My Placement. There's so many different ones. There's like BB, there's LinkedIn, like there's just so many sites out there. So they're definitely quite easy to find. But yeah, the university in terms of help are very, very good.
I think they were quite flexible as well, because I think you originally wanted to do a workout or year out in Australia.
Yeah, so yeah. Originally I was looking at that option, but then I kind of was like, it's too far away. I kind of backed out. But yeah, they were helping in terms of that, because the person who was the placement like helper, she literally had worked out in Australia, so it was quite helpful in terms of like she was helping with visas and different stuff like that, and kind of like looking into accommodation. So yeah, very, very helpful overall, and now accustomed to your needs.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions? Or is there anything you want me to go through again? The open day. Yes, so we recommend attending the open day and the applicant day. We have open days. Our next open day is in June, and then following that, there's one in September, October, and November. We then start our schedule of applicant days, which are slightly different to the open days. So the offer holder days or applicant days are exclusive invitations for those who have applied to the University of Plymouth. You get a deeper dive of what the program entails, better to things like full assessment breakdown, but also you do a sample activity, so you get an idea of what it's like to be a student at the university as well. I mean, Ella's, I think, attended nearly every single open and offer holder day.
Can't get rid of me. Yeah.
What
No,
are
they are
your
really good. It's interesting to kind of, and if you attend an applicant day in particular, you'll have an opportunity to meet people who will also be on the course. So that's kind of the difference there, and you get to take part in an interactive activity. But open days in general are also really good because you kind of get a feel of the university. So you get like an insight into the course in particular, but also you'll get to like experience Plymouth and have a look around as well.
Yeah, it's Plymouth is very well. The open day is very different to an online talk. So
Yeah.
kind of get to feel the kind of the environment, kind of the feel of the place to see whether it fits you as well. Any other questions for myself or Ella? I mean, just to check, are you an international student? Because Beth is here to answer any international student inquiries.
From the questions, I'm guessing not. Yeah, I was going to say it's all right. I'm managing the recording, so I'm all good. I'm all happy. I'm finding it interesting myself, so it's all good.
Do you have any other questions for myself or Ella?
In terms of like experience, so before I come to uni, I didn't have any prior marketing experience, but I had like experience in terms of like waitressing, or like cleaning, where it's like even though you're doing a role that isn't marketing based, it still has the transferable skills that you'd need, such as like communication or time management or multitasking. So I kind of, you can still apply it. I feel like marketing is such a kind of broad subject that anything you do, you can kind of tailor it to it. But in terms of even if you currently have a job, so like for example, when I had a waitressing job, I asked them if I could kind of do their social media. So that might be an idea if you've already got some form of job like that.
Yeah, so picking up on those points. So if you do currently have a job, you can, that might be a stepping stone doing a bit more with them. But at the same time, if you're just trying to gain experience, you can work with friends, family. If they have their businesses, you might want to pick up a small element of it. So, know, older, smaller companies tend not to have a very large or big social media presence. So you can play around with, making posts, creating an account for them, seeing what works. So ultimately, if you can get any experience which is related to business and marketing, that will be beneficial, whether it's paid or unpaid. Oh, and there are a lot of unpaid job opportunities. So where you're really going there to learn and pick up the experience.
Yeah, that's something. I currently work for a charity. I'm a digital marketing like assistant for them. So obviously that's not paid, but it's that's loads of other opportunities that you could look into. And I kind of just manage their social media and kind of just gain more awareness of what they do in our local area. So yeah, and I currently work for SAFA. It's the Armed Forces charity. So yeah, I definitely have a look into different charities and anything like that.
Okay.